Before moving to Barbados, I actually did a lot of research. I looked at the visas, the work permits, the economy, and all of this was basically to answer one simple question. Is Barbados a good place to live? But after you know all of these things and you're now in the final stages of deciding, do you pack up, do you move to Barbados? How does the process actually go? That is when you start looking at the specific requirements that Barbados has to let people move into the country. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you the 4 easiest, most straightforward ways that I know that you can come to Barbados and stay here long term. And by long term, I'm talking about living here for multiple years or staying here indefinitely if that is what you want to do. The first and the easiest method is to find a beautiful young woman or a handsome young man and get married to that person, and that will just open up the opportunity for you to get all the visas and all the residencies and all the passports you could ever dream of. Okay, I'm just kidding. The first one is actually something called the Special Entry and Reside Permit. So there are actually 4 categories in this permit: category 1, 2, 3, 4, and each one of them is tailored to suit a particular kind of individual. And if you fall into any one of these categories, then you can actually apply to Barbados and get approved to come to Barbados. So the first category is for high net worth individuals. These are individuals that have a net worth of $5 million and are willing to invest $2 million into the Barbados economy. Now I'm talking about $2 million US, which is approximately 4 million Bajan dollars. So if you have a net worth of $5 million and you're still an active investor, you're willing to grow your portfolio, stuff like that, and invest $2 million in Barbados, then you can actually get the SERP Category 1 permit and come and live in Barbados for a long period of time. So many of these permits either give you multiple years that you can stay in Barbados, or they actually allow you to stay indefinitely. I'm not going to go too in-depth into each one of them, but you can research them. I'm just going to go through all of them so that I'll give you a general idea. The second category is if you are a property owner and you have property in Barbados that is worth $300,000 US, right? So if you have property in Barbados worth $300,000 US, you can be allowed under the category 2 SERP permit to come into Barbados and stay. Now, under this category, you are not allowed to work in Barbados. So you're not given a work permit or stuff like that. So this is usually targeted at people who are retired, people who just want to enjoy their pension or their wealth or whatever they have accumulated over the years. They buy property in Barbados and then they're allowed to stay in Barbados and enjoy their time and their money here in Barbados. The third category is professionals with special skills. So these are professionals who have skills that are critical to the growth and development of Barbados. So many of you have been asking me in the comment section, can I get work in Barbados? If I relocate to Barbados, can someone employ me? And maybe you're talking about stuff like electrical work or construction or stuff like that. All of that can come under another category where I will discuss work permits in this video. But for this particular category, it's talking about skills that are special, critical to the growth and development of Barbados. So we are talking about things like finance, technology, fintech, medicine, education, energy, and infrastructure. So if you have skills in these areas, professional skills in these areas, I'm assuming somebody who has maybe 5 years of experience and has the degrees to back it up and the work experience to back it up, then these are people that might be considered for this category 3 SERP program. Then category 4 is parents and grandparents over 60 years of age of Barbadian citizens. So if you have a child that is a Barbadian citizen, even if you yourself are not Bajan, under this program, you can actually come and live with your child here in Barbados. So to put it simply, let me just put it in a way that you can remember all 4 categories. Category 1, basically you're saying, I'm wealthy, I'm bringing significant capital, and I probably still want to work in investment and invest my money actively and let it grow actively. So Barbados is really open to that. You can come in if you're a high net worth individual and you can actively invest in Barbados. Category 2 is basically the guy who has a decent value home here. He can support himself. He doesn't need a local job. And he just wants to come and enjoy. Maybe he's retired. He just wants to come and enjoy his home here in sunny Barbados, right? Category 3, there are people with professional skills that are valuable to Barbados and they want to live and work here. And category 4 is somebody who is over 60 years old and your child or your grandchild is a Bayesian and you want to live near them in Barbados. If you qualify for any of these 4, you can come to Barbados, you can stay in Barbados. So the first group of people is SERP. The next group is CARICOM. If you're a CARICOM citizen, so you're in the Caribbean community, you're a citizen of a country in the Caribbean community, you can actually come to Barbados and stay here using the CARICOM Skills Certificate. Now, the CARICOM Skills Certificate enables you to travel to any CARICOM country and work there, engage in economic activity there. Some of the skills that can help you qualify, and if you want to know if you can get this certificate, all you have to do is to go to the CARICOM website or contact the authorities in your country and begin processing your stuff. So this is people who are graduates, media persons, artists, musicians, sports persons, nurses, teachers, artisans with a Caribbean Vocational Qualification, CVQ, holders of associate's degrees, domestic workers, agricultural workers, private security officers. Any of these people who live in the Caribbean, you have these skills and you have the skill certificate that is given to you by your country, your Caribbean country. You can use that skill certificate and actually move into Barbados and live in Barbados. This doesn't just allow you to live in Barbados, like just reside in Barbados. You have to be engaged in economic activity, which means you have to be employed or doing business or doing stuff like that. You can't just come in here and just live here without engaging in economic activity. This permit does not allow that. However, if you're coming with dependents, so you're coming with like a spouse or a child or something, those people don't have to be engaged in economic activity. Because you are their sponsor, so to say, and their dependents, they can just reside while you do the economic activity and they just reside here with you. So that's an advantage because people don't have to leave their families behind and do all the work here and then travel all the time. You can actually move with your family, you on the skill certificate and your family just dependents under your certificate, which is a good thing. The second one is if you're part of these 4 countries that are part of the full free movement countries. So Barbados, Belize, Dominica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines signed a full free movement agreement that allows each member of these 4 countries to go to the other countries and reside there, work, stay, move in, move out, whatever they want to do indefinitely. If you're unfamiliar with this kind of thing, think about the way it is in Schengen countries. Any citizen of Schengen countries can move into any other Schengen country in Europe without needing any special certificate or any special visa. In the Schengen area, it's extended to people who have visas, Schengen visa, that are not themselves citizens. But in the Caribbean, at least for now, and there are so many things that are being worked out to extend this to more than just these 4 countries. But if you're a citizen of one of these 4 countries, Barbados, Belize, Dominica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you can actually move between the countries and just reside and stay. And you can also engage in economic activity if you want. All you have to do is register and then you can get a job and start working and stuff like that. So if you are a citizen of Caribbean community, maybe you're in Jamaica, you're in Trinidad, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, all these places around here, you can actually benefit from either having the CARICOM skill certificate, or if you're one of these 4 countries, you can benefit from that and move and relocate to Barbados. The next one is to get a work permit. This is the third option if you want to move to Barbados. You have to get a work permit. Now, there are 2 ways to do this. The first way is that you actually get employed by a company or an organization that is in Barbados, and then that company is going to help you process your visa or your work permit for you to get here. Now, keep in mind that even though the company is helping you process all of this stuff, the company itself cannot guarantee you anything. The final decision application is still with the immigration department. There is this rule Barbados has where for a company to hire a foreigner, however, they need to demonstrate that a Bayesian cannot do that job. Most cases that will apply. Obviously, there are going to be slight exceptions and case-by-case basis, but in most cases, that is going to apply. So it's very difficult for you to get employed for just something that is very ordinary that many Bayesians are doing. So even though this doesn't fall under special skills, many companies still have to prove that the foreigner that they're employing is very vital to their operation and that Bayesians cannot do that job. So just keep that in mind. For me, many of the examples I've seen are things like cybersecurity, education, the medical sector. So if you're a doctor or if you're a nurse, there's always a higher demand for doctors than there is a supply in the Caribbean. So many doctors and nurses are usually brought in from outside. So the next way you can get a work permit is actually to register your own business. So instead of applying to a company and then having that company work out your visa and etc., you can actually register your own business in Barbados and then use that business to grant yourself a work permit and then use that work permit to come to the island. Now, because this is a business that you registered by yourself and you are employing yourself and you're not employing a different person. You're the owner of the business and the person the business is employing is yourself. Barbados actually waives the rule where you have to prove that a local can do it because it's your own business and you are employing yourself. So obviously, even if you're a foreigner, it's your business. You're the one that is going to do the job, right? Whether a Bayesian can do it or not, because it's your own business. However, you still have to follow the certain requirements because you have to properly register your business. You have to fund it. You have to get the necessary licenses and all of that. So just because you have a business in Barbados and you want to employ yourself, it's not just you just do whatever you want. You still have to follow all the rules and regulations. Your business has to be registered properly. You have to fund it properly. You have to get all the permits and licenses that the business needs to operate, depending on what kind of business you're registering and so on and so forth. So if you don't have all of these things in place, then obviously that business is not in good standing and that business will not be able to bring you into the country. However, if you do the business right, you fund it correctly, you get all the papers that you need and you sort it out, you can then use that business to bring yourself into the country, give yourself work permits and continue your business on the island. That brings us to our final option, which is the Barbados Welcome Stamp. The Barbados Welcome Stamp is something that was introduced in 2020. I think it's June 30th, 2020. And it's an opportunity for remote workers to come to Barbados and work from Barbados and from Barbados while enjoying what the island has to offer. This visa gives you 12 months of stay in Barbados and you can renew the visa. There are people who have been renewing the visa from 2020 and they renew it every single year. To qualify for this visa, your business has to be making $50,000 a year. So $50,000 is 100,000 Bayesian dollars, and you have to make that in the period of 1 year, 12 months. When Barbados approves your application, you then pay $2,000 for an individual or $3,000 for a family bundle. Family bundle means you can bring in dependents. You can bring in your siblings, your spouse, your family members. If you're bringing them in, you don't pay $2,000 per individual you just pay $3,000 for the bundle. Every time you renew, you pay a renewal fee. So the Welcome Stamp visa appears to be the most direct option for people who already have businesses outside Barbados that are already making money outside Barbados. Now, just like the Category 2 SERP holders, Welcome Stamp holders don't get a work permit. So like the Category 2 SERP holders, you're not allowed to work in Barbados with Barbados companies and Barbados clients and stuff like that. But you can work from Barbados working with outside customers, outside clients. So you'll be in Barbados, but all your clients have to be outside Barbados in the US, UK, Canada, Australia, wherever they are. right? So that is the arrangement for the welcome stamp. So we have 4 options here. You can either do the SERP program, CARICOM program. Either you go with the full free movement if you live in one of these places, or you get the CARICOM skill certificate, or you can do a work permit, whether you get employed or register a business. And finally, if you already have a business that is outside Barbados that is making $50,000, you can register for the welcome stamp. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button. I'm going to be making more videos about Barbados, so subscribe to see more of that, and leave your comments with your questions and whatever. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.